Observer Research Foundation, 10th of October 2023, continued India-China Tango in Sri Lanka's Chinese debt trap? India and China are engaged in a tug-of-war that has affected Sri Lanka. Recently, the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, NARA, of Sri Lanka has been working with the Chinese maritime research vessel, Shi Yan 6, to research in Colombo. Shi Yan 6 will be in Sri Lanka by the agreement reached with the University of Ruhuna, according to earlier information from NARA. The Sri Lankan university did, however, declare that it was leaving the project. The University of Ruhuna gave several logistical explanations for ending the collaboration on research with the Chinese ship. Sri Lanka requested that China defer the visit in light of India's concerns about the Chinese ship mooring in Colombo for a month. However, China insisted that the vessels adhere to the original October to November schedule and be permitted to dock in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had not granted permission to the Chinese vessel Shi Yan 6, as Indian security concerns were important to the island nation, stated Foreign Minister Ali Sabri of Sri Lanka. However, he went on, negotiations were ongoing, and there would be no problems if the vessel complied with Sri Lanka's standard operating procedures. The matter was brought up with Sri Lanka by the US as well. Media reports state that last month, while meeting with Sabri in New York on the fringes of the United Nations General Assembly, U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Victoria Nuland expressed concerns about the docking of the Chinese research vessel. However, it has been claimed that Sabri stated that any foreign ship or aircraft entering Sri Lankan soil must adhere to a standard operating protocol. The minister said Sri Lanka's even-handed approach could not exclude hegemonic China. Speaking earlier in September at a Carnegie Endowment for International Peace event in New York, President Ranil Wickremesinghe of Sri Lanka claimed, "There are Chinese spy ships in Sri Lanka constantly. I'm unsure if building a Chinese surveillance ship is possible." According to an arrangement between the Chinese Academy of Sciences and Sri Lanka's National Aquatic Research Agency, he identified the Chinese ships as covert espionage ships that have been visiting the country for the past 10 years under the guise of research vessels. He also denounced AUKUS, an agreement between the US, UK, and Australia to arm the latter with nuclear-powered submarines, calling it a military alliance moved against one country, China, and a strategic misstep, which may be a sign of the growing Chinese influence on Sri Lankan leadership. Using the occasion, Wickremesinghe also made fun of the idea of the Indo-Pacific, claiming that the new terminology is an artificial framework and that nobody knows what's Indo-Pacific. The current dispute is not the first of its kind. When the Yuan Wang 5, a different Chinese ship believed to be a ballistic missile and satellite tracking ship, stopped at Hambantota port on Sri Lanka's southern coast for a week beginning on August 16, 2022, there was quite a stir over it last year. Like last year, Sri Lanka requested China to delay the ship's arrival due to Indian concerns. However, China granted permission for the boat to dock later, provided that it keep the Automatic Identification System (AIS) switched on within the Exclusive Economic Zone (EEZ) of Sri Lanka and no scientific research to be conducted in Sri Lankan waters. According to reports, the vessel was just approved for replenishment by Sri Lankan authorities. In that instance, the Yuan Wang 5's radar monitoring ports in the southern Indian states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh, with an aerial reach of roughly 750 kilometers, caused worry in India. The Indian argument went that the Chinese ship would be able to eavesdrop on numerous vital installations in southern India while parked in Sri Lanka. These tracking vessels, capable of operating in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, are supposedly owned by China. Its ship-based monitoring enhances China's land-based tracking capabilities. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, Strategic Support Force, a theater command-level organization established to centralize the PLA's strategic space, cyber, electronic, information, communications, and psychological warfare missions and capabilities, is what the Chinese ship is a part of, according to the U.S. State Department, in addition to the Indian concerns regarding the Yuan Wang 5. Media sources state that 48 Chinese scientific research vessels have moored in the Indian Ocean region between 2019 and 2023, mainly near the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea near the Persian Gulf. China can keep lying and pretending that these are scientific missions, but the Indians will always suspect that China is employing them for military objectives, including gathering intelligence. Smaller nations, such as Sri Lanka, are meanwhile engaging in geopolitical maneuvering to maximize their influence on China and India. These occurrences raise concerns about Sri Lanka and India, even if they are fleeting. Rajnath Singh, the Indian Defence Minister, was supposed to visit Sri Lanka in early September but abruptly cancelled the trip citing unavoidable circumstances. The timing was not a coincidence, though it is unclear if it was connected to the reports that the Chinese ship would have docked in Sri Lanka. It's possible that the postponement was intended to let Colombo know how unhappy India was.